Well, I was, as a young doctor, a materialist cardiologist. And when I started to work in a coronary care unit in 1969 as a young rotating intern, I was working in one of the first coronary care units in the Netherlands. Before 1967, all patients died of cardiac arrest. So modern CPR techniques like defibrillation and external chest compression became available in 68, 69. So we had a patient on the new coronary care unit, about 44 years old, I think, and he had a cardiac arrest because of a myocardial infarction. And we started to resuscitate him, and we had several shocks on him, and after about 4 minutes he regained consciousness. We were very happy as a resuscitating. It was all new. I was the doctor in charge. It was all new for us. But the patient came back, and the patient was extremely disappointed and told me about a tunnel and a light and music and beautiful landscape. I'll never forget. I've forgotten this event, but I never did anything with it. I was a young doctor starting my specialization at a young family, a family with young children. So only in 1986, I read a book by George Ritchie, Return from Tomorrow, where he describes his very deep near-death experience as a medical student in 1943. He died of a double pneumonia, and there were no antibiotics available for this medical student, so he died. And his body was covered with a sheet. And the nurse was so upset that this young medical student had died that he was able to persuade the doctor to give him an injection of adrenaline right into his heart, which was quite uncommon in the time. But after 9 minutes of death, he came back. Had a problem to find his body back because it was covered with a sheet, but he has his hand out under the sheet, but he saw his fraternity ring. He said, well, that must be me. Anyway, but he had a very impressive near-death experience. All the aspects we know now, he had also in dark regions as well. Out-of-body experience in a place hundreds of miles where this happened, and he later went there to see if it really was the place where he had been. He had been there as well during the period of death. So then I was so, and I had never heard about the death experience before. I had never read the book by Raymond Moody, Life After Life. It was published in 1975. But from reading that book, I started to ask patients when they had survived a cardiac arrest if they could remember something from a period of unconsciousness, from a period of cardiac arrest. And within 2 years, out of 50 patients who had survived cardiac arrest, 12 patients shared their NDE with me. And that was the moment that my scientific curiosity started to grow, because I had learned on university, as we all learn still in school and university, that consciousness is a product of brain function. And we know in cardiac arrest, when you're deep unconscious, there are no body reflexes, no brain cell reflexes, no breathing, and I'll come to it later, then it should be impossible to have memories of an enhanced consciousness, with memories, with emotions, with cognition, with a possibility of perception out and above the body. It should be impossible. There had been just retrospective studies, and people thought it was side effect of drugs, hallucinations, side effect of neurotransmitters, dreams, trying to be interested, etc. So there were not real scientific explanations at all. And that's why we started a prospective study in Holland on survivors of cardiac arrest.
When was it the moment that you really went from being convinced that consciousness is a byproduct of brain activity to somebody who's saying, no, that's not the case? Was it a specific moment?
It took years.
Years?
It took years. So we did a prospective study of 4 years, where we interviewed 344 consecutive survivors of cardiac arrest in 10 Dutch hospitals. So I spoke to a lot of patients as well. But besides that, I spoke to other patients and near-death experience as well. And we had a longitudinal study which taped interviews 2 years and 8 years with all late survivors of cardiac arrest who had an NDE, with a matched control group of patients who survived cardiac arrest without an NDE with match control with the same age, the same gender, and the same time interval. And it was about the transformation. People have a transformation, but they have an NDE. And we didn't know if the transformation is due to the cardiac arrest or due to the near-death experience. That had never been studied in a prospective design before. So I've met many, many people. And during the course of years, I rather became convinced also by reading articles and books, etc., that it should be impossible to explain these kind of experiences by just claiming the never proven assumption that consciousness is a byproduct of brain function. It's still a never proven hypothesis, but everybody believes it's true. It has never been proven.